Brassicas, like cabbage, cauliflower, and broccoli, they provide the foundation for a great fall garden. Let's talk about some brassicas and then go ahead and sow some out in the garden. Hey guys, this is Daryl, Louisiana Simple Living. Thanks for coming back out to the garden. Back in the mid-August, I put out a video. I went ahead and sowed a bunch of brassicas and things for my fall garden. By the end of the month, we basically had Hurricane Ida hit. And although it didn't kill all of my plants, a lot of the seeds that I sowed, either the seedlings got killed or the seeds just got saturated and they never germinated. So I'm going to have to go ahead and do some more brassicas in my garden. But I'm going to do it two different ways. Number one is I'm going to do it traditional and do some direct sowing, but I'm also going to use some soil blocks. That way I can control the environment, the media, a little bit easier, making sure I water it and all those kind of things. So I'll kind of do those two different ways. A lot of them I'll just direct sow anyhow. So in the process, we'll talk about the brassicas, and then we'll go ahead and sow those seeds. If you haven't as yet, please subscribe, like that video, and ring that notification bell. Feel free to share the video. So let's get started. As I mentioned earlier, the foundation of my fall garden is the brassicas, and probably most everybody's too. So I love having cabbage, cauliflower, broccoli, a few Brussels sprouts. You can throw in some kale, you can throw in some mustard greens, things of that nature. They all grow well at this time of the year. Now what I'm going to go ahead and do for all of my cauliflower, cabbage, broccoli, and Brussels sprouts, I'm going to seed some in these trays. And so before we do that, let's jump over. I'm going to show you how I put all the soil blocks together. The soil block tool, which I'll show you in just a second, it is extremely valuable once you get it to where your soil where it mixed the way it needs to be. Then you can use that soil block and you make these little blocks that has the dimples. You're ready to plant seeds. It's just a really easy and more expensive way to go. So let's jump over and I'm going to show you making these soil blocks. Alright, what I got to do first, I'm going to go ahead and use some of the seed starter soil mix. Go ahead and make my soil blocks. It's just the Espoma brand, pretty good. Got the soil where I want it. Now it's time to go ahead and use my soil blocker to do this. Alright, so the next step is now in good state, nice and wet and moist. So with these, all you gotta do is just kind of push it in. And I'm just using these good old black plastic trays. As easy as squeezing them out. As you can tell, they already have the little dimple where you can put the seeds as well. Alright, that finishes one tray. I'm going to go ahead and do another one. Alright, you got both of the trays filled in. They're not perfect, but they're perfectly good for what we're doing, which is starting seeds. Now I got the soil blocks, got everything ready to start sowing some seeds. Now ready, we can start talking about the brassicas. Go ahead and sow in some into these blocks. I'll also put some direct sowed into the ground. And some of these even I'll do in direct in the ground. Just want to get a little contrast to see which one does better at this point in the year. And here's the different kind of cabbage seeds I'm going to plant. Got golden acre cabbage, calabos, which is the more cylinder type, smaller, but it's purple, full of antioxidants. Brunswick cabbage is more traditional. Early Jersey, somewhat cylindrical, not quite as big as like a golden acre. And finally you have the pure debut, which is again a smaller type. I like it. As usual, I'll put 2 or 3, I'll overseed everything I plant. I even overseeded during the, right before the hurricane, but it didn't help too much. So as far as planting in zone 9A, you can do it anywhere from August 15th to October 15th. And you can start harvesting about 65 to 75 days. So I'll go ahead and plant the seeds about 1/8 inch deep. And you want, when you put it in the actual garden, you know, you want 12 to 15 inches between each. Alright, so we're going to do some calabos cabbage. For the view. So we're doing the Waltham 29 broccoli and the Romanesco Italian. Romanesco Italian. This is the Durgish 41 cauliflower. Purple of Sicily. Alright, next up is our red rhubarb Brussels sprouts. I don't do as many Brussels sprouts. It takes a long time for them to be ready to harvest. I've just never had a tremendous amount of luck with them. So, Ron, is your Brussels sprouts. And finally, the Long Island improved Brussels sprout. Alright, now this other tray is just some more of those types. I'll go ahead and do those and check back in with you in just a minute. Just a quick rundown on some of the brassicas. For cabbage, you can get that out in the garden anywhere between 8/15 and 10/15, you know, October 15th. Start harvesting 65 to 75 days. Seeds about 8 inch deep and spaced about 12 to 15 inches apart. So your broccoli, the Romanesco has a more traditional kind of a green head, pointed green head, unlike the Waltham 29, which is just your pretty standard broccoli. You can plant that around the same time in the fall, 8/15, late summer 8/15 to 10/15. It takes about 70 to 90 days to start harvesting. You can go 1/4 to 1/2 inch deep, about 12 inches apart. Now with the cauliflower, Durgash is being the traditional white. The purple Sicily has a tinge of purple on top of the white. Interesting looking. Anytime between 7/1 and 10/15, you can put them out. They'll mature 55 to 65 days. 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch deep, spaced 18 to 24 inches apart. I've struggled a little bit with Brussels sprouts, haven't been super successful with them. I've gotten some vegetables off of, but not as much as I was kind of hoping for. Nevertheless, we've got a couple different kinds. The Groninger and the Long Island Improved are your traditional green, whereas your red rhubarb is purple and full of antioxidants. Same time at 8:15 to 10:15, but it takes about 90 days to get a harvest from them. And the seeds will be about 1/8 inch deep, spaced about 12 to 15 inches apart. All right, so the next step, all we're going to do is just kind of put in a little bit of this seed starter mix, just to cover up the dimples where they were at. And using these seed blocks, there's nothing more difficult than doing exactly what I'm doing. It works very well. And you do save some money because it's not that compressible cocoa core. To me, it's just a little bit better way to go. All right, we're just gonna water them in. Just a quick walkthrough. We've seen it last week when I was doing some harvesting. You see the peppers are still doing great. And I've had to stand all these peppers just about back up due to the hurricane. You saw me harvest one of the ginger plants. More peppers over there. More peppers here. Got some cayenne peppers. More peppers over here. They kind of suffered a little bit in the hurricane. Some watermelon plants just not doing real well. Got a melon right there coming in. Tons of peppers on this. Is a brown jalapeno. A couple of plants. Remember I showed you this just the other day, and these things are just growing like crazy. That's the loofah gourds. More peppers. They just got knocked over. Nice pretty red pepper. More peppers here, jalapenos. Some more of the picket beans, picket southern peas. They're doing well. Here's your Alabama red okra. And the red, or Jing orange okra. These things are growing like crazy. Gonna have to cook some more again tonight. I don't know if I ever showed you these some turnips that are trying to grow back here. They're just not getting enough sun. But this is a volunteer celery plant. I had celery planted over in this area 2 years ago, I think. I guess I dropped some seeds, so I got a volunteer celery plant. Hey guys, thanks for joining me again at Louisiana Simple Living. You know, we've had the last 3 or 4 days, a little cold front came through, and it's been just absolutely great. Right now, it's got to be over 90 though. It's pretty hot. Nevertheless, it'll cool off a little bit, so it's been a really nice weekend, no rain. We needed this after Hurricane Ida, and then the tropical storm kind of came through. And with those weather systems coming through, a lot of the brassicas that I did plant back in mid-August got wiped out. Just never got a chance to get started. And so it kind of requires me to go ahead and re-sow some seeds to get some brassicas moving. I decided to go 2 ways. I went ahead on some of the heavier brassicas, your cabbage and so forth. I started those in a tray with soil mix. Then I also planted a few out here in the garden, like I did back in August. We'll see which one happens first. The nice thing about the tray is I think I can control the environment just a little bit better. How much I water it, how much shade I give it, how much I has it out in the sun, and so forth. So the fall garden, again, brassicas is the mainstay here at the Louisiana Simple Living Garden, and can easily be yours as well. Remember, spring garden, it's not the only time to garden. There's plenty of delicious vegetables you can grow this time of the year and going into the fall and the winter. So go in your backyard and grow something. If you haven't yet, please subscribe, like this video, ring that notification bell. As I always remind you, make memories now, not later. Make memories with your friends and family. And as always, I will see you on the next video.